All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Wireheads. I am Emmerron, and let me see. The pointing I need to do in this direction because my thing mirrors
I'm Diamond Dust.
This is Diamond Dust. We're two people who we kind of know a lot about this game. Some might say too much, but I don't agree with those people. I think we know the right amount to inform you and have correct opinions because that's a thing that exists. So
I can already hear the Twitter getting fired up.
Look, controversy sparks views. That's all I'm saying, right? So, everybody, welcome back to another episode. This is episode 12. If you missed it, this is part 2 of the episode. Part 1 is over on Diamond Dust channel if you are watching this over on YouTube. If you are listening to us, though, either on Spotify or if you're here live on Twitch, which we do this live every Wednesday night at 8:30 Pacific, you can come by and join the fun live if you are listening to this later on this one. We accept Q&A through chat. We also take Q&A through email at wireheadspod@googlegroups.com. As well as if you're on Spotify, there should be a question at the end of the episode. If you do have curiosity about anything or you want to ask questions about topics that we are covering, please submit them. We would be more than happy to inform and educate on any kind of questions you have or give our takes on things if it's our opinion you're curious about. And today, our topic is kind of in line with opinion. So these are new player mistakes. So what is a new player mistake? As I said during the break, I'm a new player mistake. New player mistakes are very, very common in this game. As they are in most things. When we're new to something, we make mistakes, and that's, number one, that's okay. You can make mistakes. You're entitled to make mistakes. I will say this, though. When you are first starting this game, if you aren't aware of kind of how things work, there's a lot of traps you can fall into very, very easily. So let me start with the first mistake, which is the first mistake I ever made. The first mistake I ever made in Cyberpunk Red. Always, and I mean always, get some kind of weapon skill because you're going to be lured into a false sense of security that none of your mandatory skill points, because there's quite a few skills early on in the game that you need. I think there's like, what would that be? 13 of them that I think you need to put 2 points into to start the game off. And that doesn't include things like handguns or melee weapons. The only like weapon skill that could be considered included in that is brawling. And 2 brawling ain't gonna do anything for you. Like, even if you have 8 dexterity, which it's based on, it's not gonna do anything for you. So like, definitely number 1, make sure you've given some points into a weapon skill and make sure it's not just like 2 points. You want to have like probably 4 to 6 points in at least 1 weapon skill. And this is because if your weapon skill isn't trained high enough, you won't hit. And that means when combat breaks out, unless you have something else you're able to do, you won't be doing much. So that would be thing number 1. That'd be where I would first start looking from that angle. Because when I made my Netrunner when I was a new player, I did not put many points into handgun. Whoops. I regretted that, by the way, for the rest of that campaign, that I had almost no handgun skill. Because Netrunners, you want to be buffing your interface, because that's really what you're doing. But anytime a gunfire would break out, my handguns would never hit. It sucked every single time. Yeah, you want to have a base 12 at minimum of weapon skills so you can at least considerably hit your target at ideal range. Yes, that's true for like 95% of weapons in the game. There's like 2 skills that I would argue you want more than that, which are shoulder arms and heavy weapons. Because certain ones in those, like heavy weapons especially, you're not going to do much with a 12 because you need to roll at least a 4 then to hit anything even at ideal range. And shoulder arms, unless you're using shotguns. Well, no, assault rifles have a DV13 range. So like sniper rifles don't though. So like that's where you've just kind of got to measure that out and see where you want to be. But yeah, base 12 is a good starting point. You want to be about a base 12 one way or another. But yeah, auto fire and heavy weapons are like kind of the exceptions. If you want any skill with those abilities, you want to have those probably at character creation at a base 14. Probably without any kind of exception. But yeah, that's where I made my first mistake. I think I had like 10 handgun, and then I wasn't hitting anything ever, which sucked. So Diamond, what would you say is like the first mistake you ever made when you made your first character in Cyberpunk?
Oh, I don't ever make mistakes. What are you talking? I'm kidding. All right. So, I thought, you know, when I first played Cyberpunk back in 2020, when we were looking at all the skills, that I needed paramedic for like the grievous wounds, and I needed first aid for the not so grievous wounds. And well, much to my surprise, I wasted so many points. I wasted so many points on first aid when they could have all just gone to paramedic. Luckily, my GM was nice enough to allow me to reroute those points around to get myself up to paramedic like base 6 on the levels. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I was rocking a paramedic 14 once we got all that fixed. But yeah, there's that, and also my decision that, you know, I didn't want to, go like, heavy, like big guns, because, all my other friends, like, they'd seen like, Cyberpunk 2077, saw, how bad the world was. And I thought, maybe I'll just settle for a medium pistol. I think I'll be all right. I was not all right. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was fighting booster gangers, it was fine. When I was fighting, anyone that had Kevlar, it was fine. And then I realized, we need we need a heavy pistol because
big gun.
Yeah, I only ever went up to heavy pistol with my med tech. And then Dia, she became the first like real monster of auto fire and net running. Just so that way, when she gets a hold of turrets, it's just like cute soldiers you got there.
Yeah. So here's the thing for all you net runners, by the way. If you're firing a turret and that turret has a gun on it that you're not trained in, you are firing with your skills. So if it has like a shoulder arms and you haven't trained any shoulder arms, you're going to kind of hate it because you're going to be like, why doesn't the turret hit anything? Well, it's because your brain is the thing controlling it.
Oh gosh, yeah, because Dia is not at all trained in like heavy weapons, and she got a one that had like a single grenade launcher loaded on it, and it's just like, all right, well, roll as is. I only roll with an 8. Luckily, I nailed a 16, but I had to roll stupid high. I had to roll an 8 in order to make that happen.
Yep. It's really important that you so a lot of the mistakes we're going to talk about tonight, because I'm already seeing a theme emerging. Make sure you understand the rules of the game, like on a base level, like what everything does, because like if you've read up on the rules and you understand them, and I'm still, to be fair, I'm still learning some nifty little things that like are niche. For example, if you have 8 body, you can wield a typically 2-handed melee weapon in one hand. This means there is a world in which you 8 body people out there can use a mono 3 in one hand, which is insane. But yeah, that's something that like just knowing like what some of the things enable you to do will prevent you from making certain mistakes. Because the next one I want to talk about is in that same vein, body and will control your HP. So
I've seen someone dump Will.
Don't dump Will. Ladies and gentlemen, do not dump Will. Okay?
Because it's fun.
No, don't don't listen to Diamond.
It's fun for the GM.
For the GM, it can be a real fun time.
Look,
Suddenly, your toxins and your stun grenades and everything all work on those people that they otherwise wouldn't.
Look, all I'm saying is it's all fun and games when you get an entire room of edge runners glassing out with the booster gangers and everyone's just hallucinating.
Jesus Christ. So here's what happens, right? If you dump will, because if you dump body, we can fix that to an extent. I wouldn't recommend doing it, mind you, but you can fix it later because there is cyberware that boosts your body. There is no cyberware that boosts your will. And so principle number one, stats typically do not change after character creation. There are a couple of exceptions to this that are very far between, and nearly all of them are centered on body. Or they require you to become an FBC, or you take a drug. Like, those are the only ways you bump your stats, and most of the time, if you're dealing in drugs, that's temporary. It's not permanent, and there are other issues with it that you're gonna have to contend with.
Just stay high. That's all you gotta do. Just stay high.
No. So with that in mind, if you drop your body down a little bit to say like 4, right? That's okay. Do not dump your will. Like, please, for the love of God, have at least a 6 in your will. Because if you don't, this is what's going to happen. Your resist drugs and torture is on your will. Your concentration is on your will. These are both combat stats. They are combat skills. Because your resist drugs torture is literally anything that would hurt you or deal auto-critical injuries to you from things like poison, or flashbangs, or like deafeningly loud sound is another thing that can come into play. Like literally anything that would, like, if you just think of a time where you've been dazed by something suddenly, like an external thing comes along, you're probably rolling a resist drugs torture against it. And so on the other side of that, and also resist drugs torture is your addiction checks for drugs. And on the other side of it, concentration is needed if you get auto-fired on and they're trying to suppress you. So if you're getting suppressed by that, yeah, it's true. If you're trying to do shit while being distracted, concentration solves all those problems for you, or they become immediately problematic if you haven't trained in it and you've dumped your will. It's a problem.
So, just to clarify, most edge runners are running around with somewhere between 35 to 45 hit points, okay? 35 being the low end, and that's going to be your non-combatants who tend to stick more to the back line. If you dump your body and will, you have 20 hit points. You have as much as the standard booster ganger. You have 20 hit points.
Yeah.
All it takes is two really good shots from a medium pistol to kill you.
And even fewer if they've got anything worth anything. Like a very heavy pistol, like two rounds of that is gonna probably kill you.
Like a Perseus, yeah. Perseus will shred you.
Yep.
All right. Oh, we got something from Thorium. Our group has been playing Cyberpunk Red for about a year. Recently, our GM has implemented a homebrew ruling regarding stats. You can improve them with improvement points at the same cost as roll abilities, but 9 and 10 are double cost. This goes a long ways to allow for logical improvement of various things that don't permalock players out of certain options that are stat dependent. Martial arts maneuvers and ranged weapon evasion. Your thoughts? Personally, I don't like to allow for stats to be fiddled with via IP because 8 is supposed to be like the pinnacle of like the human body and like what it's capable of, and then it shows what happens when you augment your body, what kind of developments could happen outside that. Also, DM Chromie and folks, welcome to Wireheads. Right now, we're talking about new player mistakes that we've made. So yeah, feel free to come in. And I guess Emmerron is okay if like the crowd chimes in with like mistakes they've seen or whatnot as well.
Yeah, if you guys, we'll read you off as we see them. If you've got anything you want to share, absolutely.
Because Emmerron at the start playing table. You remember? You remember the guy that only wanted to wear leather armor?
Oh yeah.
Because bikers wear leathers. Okay. Well, I met someone else that didn't really actually make it to the table. So they dumped their will and body down to 2.
And then they wore leather.
No, they weren't going to wear leathers. They were going to just wear light armor jack, and they got 8 reflex, high evasion, and also dex. And then they boosted a bunch of their other stats up as much as they could with those extra points. And I was just sitting here just like, I don't know, man. You might die. Like, no, I'll be fine.
No, you probably will die. I mean, and to get my thoughts on the question Thorium asked, I also don't really like the idea of IP spend on stats, because 8 is the cap for a reason, and a lot of the game design is balanced around that. It's balanced around 18, base of 18, barring any kind of like bonuses from tools or roll abilities or similar. 18 is like you're a like exceptionally professional user of those abilities, and like you can do things that normal people just cannot do with that skill. So like when you have a really tightly balanced kind of like set of parameters like that, allowing to waver outside of that just for IP is like, even especially at the roll rate, like, yes, that's a lot. That's multiple gigs worth. But I know what my players would do if I gave them that option. If I turned that faucet on, pretty soon you wouldn't have the ability to like rein that in. Like, there'd be no accounting for balance on that unless you also then allowed NPCs to have those kinds of stats. And because Cyberpunk isn't a game where you're trying to make a demigod, that's kind of where I'm like, I'm not a fan of that. I think that if you want to do stuff like that, you should go FBC. That's my opinion.
It is understandable if you want to preserve the devil's bargain of cyberware. We personally found it illogical that the dark future would have ways to improve the stats outside of cyberware, like gene therapy, customized nutrition training regimens. I mean, I can understand that, but I like around, like for me, from the GM's point of view, if I had to really give my hard reason for why I don't allow it, it is the fact that Balanced Town had set it so that way 8 was considered peak. And there's a reason why you can't go down below 2 in any stat as well. You gotta have a decent floor for all your stats as well.
Yeah.
Oh man. I think we're also beat from session. It's also much work when streaming it.
Yeah. Streaming's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the other thing too about like when you introduce things that could upset the balance of the game, there's a level of consideration for how much additional work you're putting on yourself as the GM to then balance against it. And I will say repeatedly, because I was talking with some other people in my Discord last night about like part of the reason that I really like Cyberpunk, and I am less a fan of systems where I have to homebrew a million things, is that Cyberpunk's rules are what lets the game get out of my way, and I can just tell a story. Because all of the rules are just facilitating my telling of that story. The moment I tamper with like the base coding of those rules is the moment I need to now really think hard about like, what does that do? How does that impact things? And I'm suddenly shifting from a writer to a game designer in like the fullest sense. And it takes way more time to like think about that. So I'd say like every table is different, and if it works at your table, that's awesome. But it's not something that I would ever implement at mine for the sole reason that it would require me to spend more time and energy than I currently have available to me to like make those changes make sense in the long term.
I suppose as a player, new netrunner specifically, guess who splurged on a standard quality cyber deck but forgot to get herself some insulated wiring? Yeah,
It's a rite of passage to get your clothes singed by a hellhound for the first time.
Well, even despite, getting the "Are you sure?" from the GM, I'm like, I should be okay, right? I mean, it's not going to be anything too bad out there. And then, oh fuck, I'm on fire. Oh fuck, I'm on fire. Like, oh gods, I hate this.
I would say insulated wiring is like the first thing that if you don't take it at character creation, I'm not a strong proponent of the idea you need it at character creation, but it's probably one of the early cheap purchases you will make when you are done with your first gig. You'll go out, you'll spend your first 100 eddies probably getting insulated wiring.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think what other great mistakes have I made. Oh, so I've seen it wasn't so much me. This was a solo of our group, Frankie. Some of you guys, I've referred to Frankie like part of a group that I've been with before my time of playing as when I was playing as Dia, not quite streaming as Dia. We found this nice open hallway. A nice open blank hallway in inside a Militech facility that had no office doors in it, and it looked a little too clean for where we were at. Nobody checked for traps. Shock floors, shock walls. Oh, it was bad. It was bad, Emmerron. It was so bad.
Yeah, so this is where perception is really important. Like, I won't say it's a faux pas to not have high perception, but perception is probably one of those things that, like, you're gonna want to have some. Like, just even a base 10. You're gonna probably thank yourself later for investing at least a few points into it.
Like, like universally across all TTRPGs, I found, whether it be Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons, Runner, Cyborg, Dragonbane.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, HSD as well, and in Cyberpunk, it's a must to have.
Yeah.
Oh.
You want awareness skills. Like, that's the thing, because perception is probably the most universally applicable of them, but like there are a couple of awareness skills that are like genuinely really powerful. For example, conceal reveal object is like incredibly useful. And I don't think that most players, because like people coming from other systems will know what perception is, because like that's a pretty universal skill in most TTRPGs, I think, right? But like not every game has a thing that lets like you hide stuff, right? Or it's nested under a different skill like sleight of hand or whatever. But like conceal reveal is like spot hidden mixed with like hide thing, right? Like you get to find the things, you also know how to hide the things, and because you are good at one, it's a transferable skill to know how to find where things are hidden. You know the telltale signs to look for. So like, and that's really useful.
Thorium also brings up, because I've had players hit a wall where they don't invest in a library search, and library search is one of those that like everyone just should have a few points put into because it's helpful. Like when you are like in the time of the red, like having that agent is there to help you with library search, but having the ability to access information like that is fantastic. It's helpful. And sometimes it's kind of rough when your players get hung up on local experts, like education skills. I see education skills get neglected a lot, unless you specifically build to know things. I've noticed there are just groups that that they just get so hung up on like the basic education skills, like education itself, deduction, local expert, their language, and also library search.
Yep. I would say, yeah, like education, there's definitely a lot of skills in there. And if you're a new Cyberpunk player, but you played other TTRPGs, unless those TTRPGs were as skill dense as Cyberpunk is, because I think Cyberpunk is something like, I want to say it's like 30 skills or something in the game, or something really close to that. It's insane how many skills we have. 36. Okay, it's even more. We have a lot. The number of skills Cyberpunk has is, as a meme might say, too damn high. But it is worth it, honestly. It's a good thing to have them. But I think that education is the one category where, like, as you're looking over the skill list, I'd say like education and like technique skills are the two places where like people are going to look at them. They're going to be like, when the hell do I need accounting? Or like, when the hell do I need like painting? Right? Like, they're not skills that you're really going to hear called for unless you're involved in something that uses them. But the second that they call for that tracking check or something that you're like, man, when would I ever use tracking? Like, I called for it on Neon Inferno last week. Because there was a ton of boot prints. It's like, well, find the right set. Tracking. And they're like, shit. And everyone looked at each other. It's like, we don't have tracking. It's like, there are times where you want to have that skill. And having to just roll raw intelligence then kind of sucks, especially if you didn't max your intelligence. It's like a base 8 is barely going to get you through most time. And like anything less than a base 8, and you're like, yeah, I'm really not going to do well on this.
Oh gosh, now I've had a player cheap out on their weapons.
What do you mean by that? Like just poor quality?
Well, a netrunner who spent a little too much money on their programs and their gear, so they had $20 left.
Team Dream.
You know, no.
No?
You can get, there is a heavy pistol you can buy for $20.
Gunmart Special.
The Gunmart Special. They're like, yeah, I'll never roll one. I'll be fine. I like they have the kind of cavalier that Nyla has from time to time.
I'll be fine.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And you go and you roll a nice toasty one on your first roll in combat. Yeah. And he didn't read the full text on what the Gunmart Special does.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
And I was like, yeah, hey, your handgun falls apart. Like the magazine falls out, the barrel goes flying, the back end of the gun snaps off and doinks you in the forehead.
It's done. Yeah, it's gone.
Like, what do you mean? Yeah, it's now destroyed beyond repair. But it's a pistol. It's just a poor quality pistol. Go read the rest. Go read the rest.
There's a reason this one costs 3080s less than a poor quality pistol. Like, yeah, it's kind of insane. That's why I'm like, I love Gunmart, because like that is exactly when you buy a Gunmart gun, is when you have no money left from everything else you've bought, because it is a starting option. And like, if you are a netrunner, like that might look really appealing because you're like, oh man, well with that extra 3080s that I've saved over a regular poor quality pistol, I was able to buy like a couple more boosters or attackers or whatever, you know, like I got some extra gear, I got some extra utility. Oh my God, this is incredible. My brain is exploding. No, your brain might be exploding, but it's because you bought the Gunmart Engage. so that's the thing. Like, you will roll ones. It's a 10% chance that you just destroy the weapon.
But yeah, I just kind of looked at him and just like, are you sure you want that? I mean, there's some other options out there. I mean, we could probably figure out. You know, you trade off. Like, no, I need these programs. I need this.
I need them.
Like, okay, all right. You know, I don't blame you.
You
Bad
do,
Netrunner.
because you do.
Not bad.
You
just
do.
baby.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, and that's where you start looking at. I think Netrunners get too caught up in needing to have a standard quality cyber deck right out the gate.
Yeah.
I will say, if you can make it happen, that's probably good. But don't feel pressure then to like fill it up if you're gonna do that.
Or poor quality decks. It's not that they're bad. It's just they're small.
Right. But that's kind of what I'm saying is like,
yeah,
the poor quality deck, like, you might want room for extra programs right out the gate, and you might not want to have to quibble with your GM about, well, where are you getting the 500 additional eddies from your cyber deck? You know, like, or like, where are you getting the 500 additional eddies and like the access to buy your cyber deck if you don't have a fixer in the party? And you may not want to quibble about that, and all of a sudden you're like, fuck, okay, well, I don't know how to contend with that. And you're like, yep, well, unfortunate. Like, now you're stuck without a cyber deck until you get access to one. Which is like, I would never want to bar someone for too long, but you probably need a working relationship with a fixer to like get to that point. And that's the hard thing. Access is a big thing. So this is another thing. This isn't so much a mistake, but it's a commonly made new player error in perception and expectation setting, is when you look at the rule book or Black Chrome or anything, right? And you're just looking and you're like, oh my God, these prices, some of these are really expensive. Like, some of them look exorbitantly expensive. Like, where you're like, oh my God, this thing costs like 10,000 or more eddies. Vehicles are this way. It's like, you flip to the vehicles, you're like, shit, that's like 25,000 eddies. What the hell? Like, that's going to take so long. And then don't also realize, like, no, now you also need access to buy that thing. And that is access, and the economy is probably one of the biggest things I see new players not understand, is like, the only things that you can guaranteed buy at any time is the things costing 100 eddies or less. If it's more than 100 eddies, you need a fixer to find them for you. And obviously, the cheaper on that end you are, like 500, no problem. A rank 4 fixer can find that for you, no issue whatsoever, right? The moment you go beyond 500, though, it starts getting like, okay, your fixer needs to have actually earned some ranks to get that access for you, or you need a tech that can fabricate it. And then that's where we start getting technically really challenged with that.
Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, we have, of course, the anti-smog breathing mask. I have seen many, it costs 20 eddies, but I've seen many edge runners pass up on this. And then when I drop sleeping gas elevator or, poison grenade or some other airborne toxin onto the field. Because trust me, when it comes to handing out like the airborne stuff, I love doing it. I love throwing tear gas at my players. I love throwing biotoxin at my players. There's just something about it that is just like the panic that ensues when you toss stuff like that out there.
Yeah.
I had a player who didn't have herself an anti-smog breathing mask. And guess who got a nose full of Emerald City when the Yellow Brick Road's hideout went sky high? Oh, yeah. So, always do that. And also, I had a player that cybered themselves up and decided that black lace was a great drug to take.
It was.
Well, yeah, it was all fun and games till they like we were like five sessions in, and then it was like they got seriously wounded. It's like, okay, I'm going to take my black lace. All right, roll me 4d6. Okay. I rolled you rolled a nice fat 24. All right, all sixes on the 4d6. GM, I'm at 0 humanity. What happens? I'm like, oh, hey, can I see your character sheet?
0, you're fine, actually. 0 is you're safe. Negative is when you lose yourself.
Well, that's the thing. I looked, I checked out the math. They were at -6 humanity. Like, how do you let yourself get that low?
Because you just take lace and you're like, well, shit.
And I even told them, like, hey, just make sure you mind like the cyberpsychosis rules so you don't flub yourself up accidentally. I'm like, I'll be okay, don't worry. It's like, are you sure? Because you do have some downtime for therapy. Oh, I'll be fine. No, he was not fine, and he was like, hey, can I have my character sheet back? I'm like, no. You can't. Well, why? Because you're now cyber psycho. What?
Yeah.
I had to look. He is like one of the sweetest friends that I have, and I look like I kicked his puppy. That's what it looked like when I told him, yeah, you've gone cyber psycho. Oh.
I've only ever had it happen once at my table, and it was largely planned that it would happen because, like, we kind of were like, we'll roll the dice, we'll see what happens. And if you go cyber psycho, well, there's an enforcer there, and that's your new character if, like, things go wrong. That's how Wei came into Neon Inferno. But yeah, no, cyber psychosis is no joke. Like, pay attention to your humanity. Dumping your empathy is a big new player mistake. Unless you plan never to use Chrome, like, if you don't want any cyberware, then fine, whatever. The moment you want cyberware, though, you want empathy.
On top of that, don't dump your empathy. Even if you don't want Chrome, you're going to see shit. You are going to see shit. You're going to experience shit. You're going to feel shit. You're not going to like it. It's going to drain at you.
Yep. Last thing you want to be is the guy that goes cyber psycho. On a similar note, actually, another new player mistake I see, and I made this mistake for a long time. Like, we're talking on the order of years. Like, I only realized how fucked up my perception of this was at Gen Con last year. So this isn't even like a full year old, that this next mistake. Dump your luck.
Oh.
If you dump your luck, you'll regret it. And here's why. So in Cyberpunk Red, you get to reroll in only a handful of circumstances. So in combat, you can obviously, when you make a shot on your next turn, if you miss the turn before, it's whatever. Combat, the scenario is constantly considering to be changing. And that's important because when you are looking at trying to reroll something, the first thing, did the scenario change at all? If yes, you can make the reroll. If no, sorry, you can't reroll. Unless, number 2, you have a better chance on the second roll than you did the first time. And you can do this a couple of ways. You can either get a +1 by either taking additional time or by having somebody roll a complementary skill check and trying to help you out on the thing. And then if they succeed at doing that, you get your +1 on the next attempt. And then if that still didn't work, you need now to get a higher chance than that +1 presented you. So now we're in the realm of tools, which is like a +2 in a lot of cases for like using proper tools. So assuming you weren't already using them on your first attempt, which kind of why wouldn't you if you had them? But let's say you didn't. If you didn't and you failed, then you use the tool and now your odds are better because you're using the tool. Let's say the unthinkable happens, like what happened to me at Gen Con 2023 at the table of one James Hutt while I am trying to play a Netrunner. And you roll a third critical failure. And the GM literally has to look at the other people at the table and say, this is super uncommon. This never happens, guys. I promise, I swear to God, never ever happens. All right. So he says this, but I'm now left with, I've burned almost all my resources. I'm like, well, what now? Now you look at luck. And the reason luck is so goated here is because now I can get a +3 by just paying 3 luck. Ta-da! Cool. That one worked. That one succeeded. So luck is quite literally your last bastion of being able to attempt something if every other benefit is exhausted. It can also do a lot to help you in a scenario where, like, I can't afford to miss this headshot. You just dump a bunch of luck. Suddenly that headshot's far easier to hit. So luck is very, very, very good. Dumping it is it is folly. Do not dump your luck unless you really truly understand what that represents.
Oh gosh. Oh, people that, all right, folks that like bury their heads too hard into evasion, that suddenly you've choked yourself out on like too many skill points and stats, that like, yeah, you can evade things.
Yeah.
But you've burned all your IP on making your evasion better and better, and now you're able to dodge shit, but you can't deal with the problem that's shooting at you. I've had someone like that where they were stuck at, handgun 12. I mean, sure, they had evasion 16. They could dodge all day, but they could not outrun the person that was chasing them. So, yeah, don't do that. Don't solely rely on evasion for combat. Be sure you can fight. What else have we had? I guess less in the gear side, but players that believe that every corpo is bad, and this is more of a player to player situation, and I know a lot of us are past that point. I've had a player that will not come back to my table because I allow execs to play at my table. I'm like, okay, all right, I'm sorry. It's a role that's available to play. Not every exec is going to be out to, fuck you over right away. I don't know. But at the end of the day, like, I've seen some new players where it's just like, why is an exec at, a cyberpunk game, or why are you playing a cop? No, fuck you. I hate cops and all that. I mean, and these remove yourself from your character for a bit.
Yeah. These are valid questions, I think, when you are trying to genuinely learn. Like when they're asked in good faith, these are good questions. And Diamond and I had a whole stream where we talked a lot about this actually at one point, before we were doing Wireheads. And my thing is this, right? There are some corporations in the city that aren't Militech. They're not Biotechnica. They're not going to be like Continental Brands. They're not these massive, massive corporations that are making everyone's lives suck, right? There are smaller corporations in the city, like Faisal's Customs, for example, where they're like tech outfits. And like
L'Oreal and Chang, they make high quality clothes.
Yeah, so like you will have small businesses in the city that exist in the canon even, or you make your own, like I did in Diamond's game. For those of you who've been with us since earlier tonight, I play an exec on every other week called Uncle Larry, and he is part of Greengrass Corporation, which is a discount turret sales company. And like, they're not inherently evil. They're just like, they're very profit driven. And Larry's not an inherently evil person. He's pretty like snippy. He does not abide betrayal at all, as we saw earlier tonight. But like, those are the qualities about him that make him an exec to me, right? It's like, I'm not going to take shit from anybody. I am king of the world. But that doesn't mean I have to be an asshole to like a crew that's actually helping me achieve my goals either. You know, I still run with the Netrunner crew because my sales territory is the combat zone. So if something bad starts happening to the combat zone, I have to get involved because those are my potential customers, right? Like, even if you're not acting out of altruism, there is absolutely a reason for you as an exec to be in the party. And like, lawmen can be PIs and stuff. Like, we have a lawman now in Neon Inferno, and like, his whole thing is like, I want to make the city better. I believe in true justice. And I recognize the NCPD is not going to do that. So I'm going to work with my private investigation firm to make that start happening instead. You know, and I think those are the things you have to think about is like, don't be afraid of trying something out and like testing the water, because I guarantee you it works better than you think it does.
All right, let's see. Well, it's also like these characters exist, so even if they're pieces of shit, their stories are still interesting and worth telling. Yeah, I mean, you know, we have characters that are absolute scumbags that, you know, at the end of the day, they have stories to be told.
Yep.
And, you know, I play, you know, a fixer who, you know, she's willing to take what she can get off the top, and she's known as Skimmer. She's she'll put money in where she believes that she can, you know, make a little bit more off the top, and if she can take the fat with it, she will.
Yeah. Well, and there's another thing here that like my chat is saying is like, some corpos may even be gang affiliated, like a mafia front corp. Exactly. And you could be working for like really powerful fixers instead of like a proper corporation. So like, when you look at exec or at a lawman, don't just think about them as like, this is a character that like fits every stereotype I know about evil corporations or like bad cops. It's more than that. Where like some lawmen, you know, there's a saying in cyberpunk lore that the police are just another gang with badges. And you can just make lawmen into a gang. Because like what is backup but calling for your gang chumbas to come and help you out? You know, like, sure, you might not get C-SWAT on the ground, but you are going to get the big ass enforcer that usually just works for the guy who runs the whole gang to come down and help you if if you're pulling that hard within the gang itself. So like that, there are ways to reskin the roles. There's a great chapter in Collecting the Random. Again, Diamond and I talked about that a few months back on another co-stream, that the VOD is up over at my channel for that, because it was something she just kind of joined haphazardly halfway through because we were just going back and forth so much. But in Collecting the Random, they've got reskins for all the roles, and so I highly recommend, if you haven't looked through that and you're one of those people that like an exec or a lawman shouldn't exist, look at Collecting the Random and then form an opinion about how, you know, maybe they could have a point. Even if you don't want to play one still, you might see through, I think, the other side that there is a reason they exist. So Night City government is just a big gang who claims the entire city is territory, while other gangs may dispute that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's no secret that the mafia was like initially Night City. Like they built the city in its early days until the corporations actually moved in. Cult leader for Rocker Boy, yeah. I love that.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. We also have, oh gosh, what other things have I seen happen, like player to player? Yes. One of the other things I've seen players do is tie themselves off to like some really big fucking names. Like they're associated with insert big power player here on a very personal note, and they use that like a sledgehammer, and everything's a fucking nail.
Well, I'm Carrie Eurodine's long lost forgotten child.
Good.
Okay.
He doesn't give a shit about you.
One, he doesn't give a shit about you. Two, you've just painted a massive circle on your back for anyone who does believe that it has something to do, like, or something that they could earn off of that. So, like, congrats. Like, you've just made yourself a very big target for no freaking reason. Yeah. Like, there's don't make a character that feels super important unless you really are willing to follow through on that. Because I guarantee you, if your GM doesn't veto it, there's a reason, and it's because we're gonna fuck with you a little bit, probably.
There's going to be another shoe that drops,
Mm-hmm.
and when it falls,
and we won't fuck with you in a mean way most of the time. Like, we're not gonna be unfair if we're. I mean, if the GM is a good GM, they'll be fair about it, but they will give you shit about it through the game. Like the player that I had in season 1 of Neon Inferno, who is very experienced at the game, I will add, right? They were not at all a new player when we started the season. Her dad was a corp, like a corp CEO for a protection corp, a fairly large one. And he eventually hunted them down. And that became like a through line plot of like the whole season was them getting hunted by their very rich, very powerful father. So that's the kind of shit, like, we can do that to you if you've said, oh, I come from this very powerful corpo line or whatever. It's very good. Either they're hunting for you because you estranged yourself from them, or people who want to get at them are going to come for you. And like, you being on the street is not going to help that.
Oh gosh. So, and then, oh gosh, had one person, I had to veto this one hard. They were Michiko Sanderson's child, but it's just like, Michiko isn't even married. The woman seems like she ain't getting involved with anyone.
Michiko is married, I thought.
Is she married? Because I thought Sanderson was just like a different name that she took.
No, I believe Sanderson is her married name. Because it's Nayara Saka.
She married an American. Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay.
Yeah, Michiko's married, but she's. I mean, yeah, it is weird. Like, it's not. Where are the stakes? Like, you're just trying to set yourself up to have like what I call a social power gamer. I did a whole video just talking about this, right? Like, there are two kinds of power gaming. There is stat power gaming, which is more affiliated with like combat, and there's social power gaming, where you're like trying to make yourself out to be this like very big important person in the room, when you're in Cyberpunk, you're not supposed to be that, right? Or if you are, it's because something happened and now you're not, right? You're the has-been, the fallen from grace, or the estranged kid of these powerful people. You're no longer affiliated with them in any way that helps you.
Yeah. Just to answer your question, Michiko Sanderson, she runs Danger Gal. she opposes Arasaka.
Yeah, she's against that because Arasaka's Arasaka's not in the U.S. anymore. They are literally. I think they all around the world got scuttled back to Japan. I don't think anywhere accepts them except Japan.
I think just a few, they've got like a few other locations, but it's very few and far between.
Right.
And otherwise, it's going to be like small cells of black op agents working.
Yeah.
But I suppose one of the on the other end of the table, I've had someone where they didn't roll to see if they had friends, enemies, or tragic lovers. They didn't want anything like that, and it's just like it's not that it's a new player mistake in a terrible way. It really makes you. What makes you any different than Red Cromer number 3 that's getting pasted across the wall right now?
John Boosterganger, yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you might roll and you might still get that result, and that's okay. It's okay not to have any friends, enemies, or tragic love affairs.
Yeah.
But there's something that makes your character material. So we roll those things. And there's a reason for it.
All right. Well, I think we've hit the hour. We're rounding out on it. So
pretty close, yeah.
I suppose. Question time?
Yeah, we can sink into question time. The one last thing
Hell
I
yeah.
will say about new player mistakes, do not worry. Every one of us makes mistakes, like we said at the top. But if you make mistakes, learn from them. And
Yep.
GMs out there, my advice to you is, if you see a player make a mistake, right? Whether that's like you see it in front of you, like you're making the character with them, or if you get the character sheet, like I regularly do this, where like I'll get a character sheet back from someone, look at it, and then I'll see, oh shit, like, hey, you didn't account for X, Y, or Z. You ask them about it and like maybe explain if they're newer, like, hey, this is why this isn't going to work so well. Make sure they're okay with it. That's the way I look at it. Is like you want to get their consent. If they consent to it, if they're a new player especially, get their consent, because the last thing you want to have is them having a bad experience and it bittering their taste of the game just because they weren't warned, like that this could turn out badly. And if you do warn them, then when they come to the other side of it, like I had a netrunner in season 1 of Neon Inferno look at me after, he's like, you were right. And he understood, like, it was my fault. I pushed for this. And I'm like, yep. And that's it. That's fine. You know, it'll happen. But they should still be aware.
One last player mistake I've had happen at a real life table I've had. Well, quote unquote mistake, but it really can show who you are as a player. I've had someone bring loaded dice to the table.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. We're here to play a tabletop game.
Like, we're here to have fun. It's not gambling. It's not like there's anything you gain from it. Like, don't do that. Don't do
I made a new player mistake that our GM caught post character creation. Involved my character's backstory. Originally, he was working for the Voodoo Boys, but upon consideration, it didn't make sense. So we leaned off of that aspect to another aspect of the character that actually worked out. And yeah, sometimes you need to change for new players. You're still getting a feel for what's comfortable. Take that time.
Or learning the world. I mean, like the lore of Cyberpunk is vast. Like, I'm still learning new things about it, and I've been reading it pretty nonstop and, you know, autistically going off about it. I do have autism. Hi. That's why I'm here making the podcast. So
me finding shit just like, hey, did you notice this particular thing? Like, like Diamond, what?
Yeah. Either it's yes, I did, or wait, hold up. Like, how did I miss that? Yeah. And it's good to have someone who does know the world very well check those sorts of little things, like the social mistakes you might make. But yeah, I agree. You can weave a tapestry off of that, and it no longer looks like a mistake. If anything, it like looks like an enhancement, and it's like, that's really cool. Is really cool. I love doing that, especially with life path stuff. It's super great. So yeah, don't be afraid of mistakes, and if mistakes can be worked with, both players and GMs, like, try to do that. And if GMs, especially if your players are like, man, this really isn't working like I thought it would, this isn't really like vibing with me the way that I hoped it would, be open to rewriting stuff or allowing them to toggle their points around, especially if you're only like a session or two deep into a campaign. It's not going to hurt anything for them to move a few points from skill 1 to skill 2. Like Diamond was saying earlier, like moving from first aid to paramedic, like, yeah, like you shouldn't have done that, and you wouldn't have known that. You're a new player. Like, so yeah, let's move those points around. It happens. Yeah. So just be willing to work with your players, because like, they don't know, especially if they're new, they don't know. Like, maybe it's the first time playing a role. Like, I have yet to play certain roles in the game, like Fixer. I really want to play Fixer at some point here. But like, when I start playing Fixer, I'm going to make all kinds of mistakes. I already know that, and that's okay. But yeah, be willing to work them into something cool. But that's, if anything, I think that's one of those things I really love about this game, is it excels at doing that. Prepper Jack suddenly wants to play Saburo Arasaka's escaped body clone.
Oh, no, no, no. I don't. No, I don't like that one bit. Partially because I just that sounds kind of gross.
Yeah, fixers are really cool. Like that's something Fez also mentioned it. So
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
they're very cool. Um,
So,
but yeah, so
um,
let's get into Q&A. So first thing here. So this was actually asked by Prepper Jack earlier, and I thought it was actually something we would talk about a little bit. Does fashion armor, so fashion wear that counts as armor in addition, like the stuff out of Black Chrome, does that come out of your fashion or your gear budget when you're
gear.
creating a character? Gear? Okay.
I always rule it as gear.
Okay.
Because it provides like fashion does provide some mechanical value, but because like something like, for example, the laser light jacket provides like a hard mechanical like stopping power mechanic, anything the GMs we've talked about this one before. If it provides a combat mechanic or some other mechanic outside of a very base like fashion, like a boost to your wardrobe and style, like what light tattoos do, I always go by the bigger of the items.
Yeah. I agree. I think that that's probably correct. Like GMs, you can rule it differently. Like if your player is really like struggling on getting that last few things figured out, and they're like, "Hey, I want to take a laser light streak jacket as armor," but I've only got like what a laser light jacket is 500, I think. Pretty sure.
Uh, I think, yeah, I think it's like $500. I pull up Black Chrome here while we're on it. Usually,
Yeah.
I will always go by like what is the bigger mechanical value of the item.
Yeah, it is 500. I just found it because I had Black Chrome open on another tab. So, yeah, I mean, basically, I would let them split it 50-50. If they're like, yeah, I've got enough to cover half of an item that would otherwise be fashion, then yeah, sure. We can split 250 between those budgets and have that be fine. Like, I don't really have an issue with that. But that's kind of GM fiat. I don't know that we have a clear ruling on that necessarily from like the voices on high. I don't think so. Because they do straddle that middle line, which is totally fine. Like nothing wrong with that. But thank you everyone, by the way, who's following right now. I just want to call that out.
Because the way that they have it styled is like I always read how it's worded, and in this case, it's light armor jack in the fashion of styled as Urban Flash. Then it's light armor jack is what it is.
Sure, yeah. No, totally fair. But yeah, so that's that answer. Next is, how common is the deal with the devil at character creation?
I've only seen it like a few times.
Same. So
and
the first thing. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And like the players that I've seen, are you gonna explain how deal with the devil works?
Yeah, because I think there's a common misconception about it. So like, what for those who don't know what the deal with the devil is, it's not called that in the book, but I think it's a pretty common phrase we use in the community for it. You can, in theory, get 1,500 additional eddies at character creation if you and everyone else at your table agrees to have your characters linked one way or another to an organization, whether that be a corporation or private military or any number of different places where that money could have come from. And you're at their beck and call until you find your way out from under it. And until that happens, there's all kinds of nasty things that a corporation can do to you or a PMC can do to you to like make your life suffer. So when we talk about the deal with the devil, it is a whole group taking that extra 1,500 eddies.
Yeah. And I've made the folly of this where I didn't realize it was just you guys get a pool of 1,500 eddies. Where I had, allowed players to sign, sign their souls over to other organizations. And, well, long story short, when you take these deals with the devil, either someone that you care about will basically be put at stake. Your cyberware might get shut off at random, like what we've seen in Cyberpunk 2077 during the corporate entry of the of here. What's this? I will drop that into. Sorry, Thorium had posted big question. It's like, okay, I'll put in.
Yeah, put it in there. Because
the
other thing too is the 1,500 A's itself is not pooled. I just want to clarify that because
okay.
So the 1,500 is per character, but every player at the table has to agree to the deal with the devil if you're gonna each get that money. So that's the thing. 1,500 itself is not pooled. You each get that, but everyone has to agree to it.
Yeah. But basically, you are now property. You have sold yourself as property to this organization who will use you like the tool you are because they have funded your purchase of your cyberware.
Yep.
Those aren't your cyber eyes. Those are their eyes. They get to look through those. Mm-hmm. You want to get violent towards one of their own employees? Well, your cyberware gets shut off. Have fun trying to use your linear frame.
Yep. It gets bad really fast potentially for you if you. And this isn't to say that the deal with the devil is like universally a bad thing, but like it's a great thing for interesting story texture. I will say that. And you as the GM could even go so far as to say, hey guys, I'm awarding all of you an extra 1,500 eddies. However, this is where I want to start the adventure if you agree to this. And pitch it like, here's the hook that I want to run. What do you guys think? I've done that before to my players where like, I'm like, all right, if everyone's okay with it, we're going to restrict where we start in the game to like this district. So all of you live in this district. Because then it also simplifies for you like, well, how do your players know each other? Well, mine were all neighbors or roughly neighbors. They all live near enough each other that they've probably seen each other before. So don't be afraid of it, but it is a thing that like, be aware that exists.
All right. Let's see. Next thing in mind that I'm thinking about. Gosh. I've blown up a player.
I mean, that's good.
I've done it. They sold their souls. They sold their souls to Danger Gal, and they didn't think that their boss had it in them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the boss was like, "Hey, you guys, I am sending you here because I believe there's some Arasaka activity going on. It will be deadly. You have equipment." And one was like, "No, you've sent us on job after job after job. We're done. Like, I think we're paid off." Like, "No, you're not." It's like, "We've nearly died a couple times." Like, "Yeah, you're here." He tries to go over the table, and then suddenly, there goes his frontal cortex out the window.
Yep.
Whoopsie daisies.
Yeah, like, understand that, like, if you're playing Cyberpunk, there's a degree to which, like, realism is going to come into play. This is also why I will say, and even though this isn't the point of tonight's episode, I will repeat this again for everyone in the back. Session 0 in this game is so important. Because if you're going to pull something like that on your players, like what Diamond said, you only get to do that they have consented that that is okay.
Yep.
If you do not get their consent, they're going to hate you for that. Like
Yep.
they will hate your core being, and like it is, and one, use the GM shouldn't want that. Obviously, we all want to have fun. And anytime I've had a player who felt even remotely like that, I have apologized to them because I'm like, that is never the way I want to run my table. So if you felt that way, I failed. That's on me. Because I want to make a welcoming atmosphere. So yeah, session 0 in this game, very, 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 very important. And I don't know if Diamond, I feel like you also have a video on it. I know I have it on my channel. And we've talked about it a few times besides, but like ultimately the bottom line is session 0, very, very important. If you're going to do anything
It's a must.
like this, yeah, you have to do that.
And that's something that I've talked about. It's just like, if you guys go through with this, I'm going to put an explosive in each of you. I told them straight up that's the case.
Yep. And that's fair. And they were warned. So the next question we have on the list here is any tips on running melee in a gunfight? Depends on what you mean by this. If you mean how do you make a mook who can survive it, then that's different.
I know who wrote this. They are specifically they're specifically like a street samurai, very much swords out, and they do have evasion, but like when it comes to doing melee and gunfights, when you bring a knife to a gunfight, you're going to be more focused around using evasion and I would say a lot more skirmish than sitting down right in front of someone and tearing through them. You're going to keep... Basically, you don't want to be on the same side as all your allies. You want to make sure that they have to point their guns in different directions.
Yeah. Well, and you can kind of slip along the back lines too. Like, because if you sneak up on a target and they don't know you're there, your melee attacks are free. You literally don't get contested.
Free headshots.
Free headshots, baby, because -8 against a non-existent check is nothing. So, yeah, just run it into their goddamn throat. That is pretty much how you do it.
Nice shot.
Nice shot. Yeah, no, that's literally, that is literally a way that you can get around combat and do that. The other thing too, I'd highly recommend is if you're going to build a character that you know is intended to do melee attacks in a gunfight, give them high move, give them high dexterity, preferably either give them high reflex, or if not the reflex, get them a reflex coprocessor, because evading bullets is very important to you if you're going to be in the middle of combat constantly. You don't get to rely on cover like gunfighters do. So there's also that. But yeah, you're also going to want the more expensive melee weapons. I mean, it's a whole build. And if you aren't doing that, then the melee weapons, when you do use them, are typically going to be when you've gotten in close. And typically your focused ranged weapons are like small arms, like SMGs or pistols. And then you close in close, and you can start splitting your attacks, where you just go, okay, one shot out of my gun, one swing out of my sword, and you just kind of keep doing that until they die. And swords can also be useful, or other melee weapons in general. I usually use swords, but like melee weapons in general are really useful for ablating armor. And
if you get really, really, really good at attacking, like doing melee attacks. Now, given it's always going to be melee weapon versus evasion, because that's how it's going to roll instead of you're fighting against a table. Aim for the hands, make them drop their weapons, break their, cause a leg injury. Very heavy melee weapon users. Once you get up there, once you're, rolling around with a fat 18 alone, bring it right down on their head.
Yep.
Just fucking go straight for it.
Yep. And you'll probably win most fights if you can do that consistently. Melee in a gunfight works fine. Like I've players who regularly do that. I, as a player, have regularly done that with my med tech, where I like dive right in the middle of the combat and I just start picking off the enemies with my like a mono katana. It's very fun. All right. So yeah, so that would be that subject. So the next question, is it acceptable to not play combat optimized? 110 fucking percent yes. I wish more people should, in my opinion, actually. Like, social combat is very important. And you can build a whole character around that. Yeah.
Like, I'm right now running Skimmer, and she's not combat or optimized.
Yeah.
So
she still held her own in a gunfight. Like, that's the other thing too, is like when the guns did get drawn, she was able to hold her own. But yeah, her role is very much like, I'm a negotiator. Like, that is what I do.
Like, for some of you guys, like, don't worry about having to, excel in the gunfight, because, you're going to come walking into meetings or walking into, social situations, and, solos over there, I mean, sure, they can outgun most of the problems out in the street, but as soon as you're sitting in a room with, Rex Royale, King of One Block, with Royal and all of his men present, you're not going to outgun a situation with the King of One Block.
No.
Let the fixer talk. Let the media spin their story.
Yep.
Let the rocker boy sway the opinion.
Yep. And that's where, like, all of those social roles we talked about earlier in the episode tonight, all of those can play without combat optimizing 110%. Like, do not be afraid of dropping certain elements around it. Now, obviously, like, if you value having a backup plan, in the sense that, like, you still want to be able to shoot a target fairly well, you're probably still going to want some reflex. Like, you're going to want, like, 6 reflex still, probably.
Yep.
But, yeah, like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you don't have that, like, especially since the advent of Black Chrome, where we now have the reflex coprocessor as gear in the game, like, you can just dodge bullets regardless if you ever did want to get that ability. Like, it's not stopping you. So I would definitely recommend, even, like, try a character that's not combat optimized. And you probably could be surprised with the results. But yeah, that would be what I would say. It is absolutely 100% acceptable to play not optimized in combat. You could also, Jay brought this up on, I think it was either on Twitter or in the RTG Discord. Jay mentioned one of his favorite player types that he almost never sees is the helper. So this is a character who places almost no skill points into combat skills, but places a ton of points into abilities that can help others do what they do better. And so they would be like the sighter for a shooter, or they would be, the person looking up the intel for the media, all of that kind of stuff.
I love the techs that aren't just like, okay, how can I make the biggest fuck off gun to piss my GM off this week?
Right.
Like those that it's just like, hi, this is a secure safe lock 415 clunk. This was a lock. Like I can appreciate those that like they're not into combat, but they'll put the work in elsewhere. I mean, like Blue from Neon Inferno, cook drugs.
Yep.
I've seen we had Cooler who I killed recently in Start Playing games. He was more of a regen med tech. He wasn't optimized. He wasn't like the most optimized med tech for surgery, but when it came to regen, some antibiotics and cryo tank later, and then suddenly, boom, you are back up and going.
Yeah, like day after, you're like ready to go. Yeah, I mean that's
you literally just go back to the respawn point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's the kind of thing that I look at. Like, combat optimization is, I think it's oversold and it's overdone. Yeah. And even like the players I have, the best example, actually, you just brought up Blue. the character that same person who plays Blue played right before was Wei, who was a solo with 8 reflex, 8 dexterity, 8 move, and martial arts and evasion spec.
And linear frame.
And a linear frame. And he was the most meta combat build you could get. Any social situation, he was completely out of the running. And I warned him early on, like, you're probably not going to have really good social interactions. And you probably want a couple points on like a handgun just in case you can't get up close and personal. And he's like, yeah, I'll take the handgun, but I'm good on the social. And then by the end of it, he's like, damn, there was a lot of social that I just could not get through. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, there is. I mean, that's why. And so that's where, like, in season 2 now, he's played a tech and he's now our lawman, and he's playing a lot more social roles, which is like very cool to see. But like this guy who hyper optimized for combat now realized, like, oh wow, like this is not all it's cracked up to be. So yeah, that's the way I look at that. Next, weirdest vendit item a GM has made. You've made vending items. You're the one to answer this.
What? Oh, no. I'm talking about what a GM's presented before. So, go over to the vendit as one does. And, you know, I'm going to go get my pre-pack. And lo and behold, what is in the vendit? They took just plain weird way out there, and in the sex toys department of this vendit, shit, just shit, not real human shit, Biotechnica shit, TM, for those kinds of enjoyers.
No.
Yeah.
No. Absolutely fucking no. No.
One of my favorite items I've made, though, it is, and actually it was shown today, is Blood Be Gone by Trauma Team. Not a huge fan of that. Yes, Jesus, totally agree.
No. Yeah, neither am I. That's no.
But yeah, we have Blood Be Gone by Trauma Team. I made that, and it's like one of those things that people don't think about. It's a little strange, but it's just like, oh hey, actually, this is not a bad idea.
Suddenly, we have blood wipes for all your executive needs when you mop up a whole booster gang with smart rockets.
Yeah. Oh, and Pocket Pal. That's another strange one that I've encountered. And it is nothing more than just it is nothing more than just a tiny drone. That's all it is. It is a tiny 100 eddy drone that links up to your agent. It just follows you around. It emotes at people. It's like literally just having a minion.
That's so cute. I love that idea, actually. That's really good.
There's a whole variety of them. And also your agent's able to communicate out of said Pocket Pal. That's
so cute. I want to put that in my game now. Oh my God.
And I mean, we do have my first graph from All About Drones.
We do. And I think that's
the most adorable shit ever.
Yeah, just an extension of that. Yeah, and God, that's so good. I love that.
It has 1 hit point. It doesn't have the ability to attack, and it has a move speed of like 2.
Yeah.
It can kind of keep up with you as long as you're walking.
Yeah, and I haven't really messed with vendit items a lot in my game outside of like, when my players have to go and they're looking to buy something. But yeah, I haven't really like filled out vendits before in my game, which is really weird given that I've got like a whole gig about stealing a vendit that I've written. But that's okay.
There's the cursed vendit.
The cursed
bandit. So, Totentads. We were there at the Totentads, as one does. And there is a vendit in the Totentads in my setting that I've adopted from my GM. And you can just get nuclear radiated cyber fingers out of the vendit over there.
No.
Well, they're nuclear scarred. You don't actually get radiation, but they're scarred with the bomb blast.
That's not great. So, okay, here, this one's actually a really good one. And I don't know if we want to cover this tonight on our Q&A, because this one, I think, merits actually a really long response.
Actually, this could be its own topic in itself. It's like when the mission gets hard.
I agree. So, to give you all the question, because this will kind of preview, we might be able
Thorium, this is yours.
Yeah, so as GMs, under what, if any, circumstances do you allow players to nope out of a mission? What if a character is legitimately scared of the people they may offend with the mission presented? At what points does it make sense for a character to say, I'm not messing with Biotechnica, they already know about me, and put me on notice? So I'll give a brief response to this now, but I would like to dive into this more in the future.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, Diamond, if you want to add this to the topic list, that might be good. So my reaction to this is, if players, so this is, again, I will reiterate why session 0 is so fucking important. Because you should, by this point, know if players, if you are worried your players may not go for something, then session 0 is going to kind of give you the keys to the castle in terms of a lot of that. My recommendation to this is, if you are worried ever that a mission might be noped out of because of what the players perceive as the consequences being too deep, offer them, or plan, I would say, maybe not offer them, but plan a what if they refuse route. Because their refusal could piss off another subset of people. And so it's not about who might they offend. It's, okay, who do I offend by accepting? Who do I offend by refusing? And you put them in the damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of scenario. That, I think, is a really, that's a space where really good things happen. Because like my GM, IRL, did this to us, where the mission we were given, so for your knowledge, our party is me, a med tech, our other player is a nomad, and then our third player is a media, specifically who likes busting open corporations. And so the job came from a corp who we had already been yanked around by this guy's corp and his family before this. And we sit down and he's like, all right, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to go out and you're going to find all this information about this. You're going to bring it back to me, and then we're going to bury it. And my media was like, no, that's not going to happen, actually, because I want to expose this. So no, absolutely not. This guy's already dragged our names through the mud. And if we bury it, we don't get anything out of this. Like, what are you saying? And the giver refused to budge. And it got to the point where we ended up like shooting the quest giver. And we had to find another way into the mission that our GM had planned. Because like, we just were not going to take it. We were like so done with getting yanked around. So that can happen, and that's okay. But just plan an alternate route. That would be my best recommendation. But I would say, yeah, I want to talk about this maybe in more detail after we've cooked our thoughts. But Diamond, I mean, do you have any initial kind of reaction to this?
I've got some thoughts because I've encountered this when they were like right at the climax and decided they didn't want to deal with it. And it's just kind of like, you are at this point, they know you're coming, you've made your presence aware. Do you, and I guess, Night at the Opera. If anybody has any further context on that, you know who, you know what. And they were right at the room before it all goes down. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to turn around. It's just like, well, you're kind of like, they know you're here.
Yeah, you're committed now.
And if you turn around, the other people that have put you on this job, well, they're not going to be happy that you've chickened out and you found you come so close to finding the end of the path.
Yeah. Yeah, there are always consequences. Cyberpunk is a game about choices, and making the right choices at the right time is critical to succeeding. And if you make the wrong choice at the wrong time, there are deep-seated consequences for that. So do not forget that, and like make sure your players are aware of that. That like, hey, you take this route leads to some bad stuff. Are you sure you want to nope out? And then, if they say, yes, GM, I want to nope out. All right.
And at the end of the day, you got to make the money.
You do. Rents due, Chumba.
And also reputation. Word's going to get around that, you back out of jobs.
Yep.
That's no way to go walking into the afterlife, because Rogue's gonna just read you up real fucking quick if you come waltzing in there, if you get past the front door.
Yep.
But that's it, because I put that down on my list for the future.
Yeah.
So I think with that in mind, any other thoughts?
No, I think for this week, that's pretty much gonna do it, I think. So yeah, I appreciate everyone coming and hanging out with us. Again, if you've hit the end of the episode here and or this part of the episode on YouTube, I should say, you still have not watched part 1, that is going to be over on Diamond's channel. Please go and check that out, and listen, because some of what we talked about in the Q&A especially, it's kind of been centered on some of those topics, so definitely check that out. But yeah, as always, I hope all of you have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you're in the world. Stay healthy, stay safe, and until next week, we will see you very soon. Peace.
Bye now.